Michael Jordan is considered by many to be the GOAT of basketball. If you don't think it's him, you probably at least put him second behind LeBron. But all of that aside, we know that while MJ was a legend on the court, it wasn't all him. He couldn't purely carry his teams all the time, as he's had some great teammates throughout his career. What is up with it, everybody? My name is Luke, and in this video, I'm going to rank Michael Jordan's top 10 teammates of his career. This will be evaluated by a combination of stats, how good they were when they played with MJ, overall skill, how the chemistry worked with Jordan, among other things. First off, honorable mention to Rip Hamilton, who averaged around 20 points with the Wizards when Jordan was there. But I wanted to focus mostly on Bulls teammates for this video, so that's why he's not on this list. Number 10, BJ Armstrong. Armstrong's stats don't exactly stand out, and he played much better when MJ briefly retired from 1993 to 95. Armstrong even made the All-Star game as a starter in 1994, but he was a pretty integral part to the first three-peat, as he was a good secondary ball handler as well as a really good three-point shooter, having shot 44% from three during his time as a Bull. He probably would have been remembered more if he played with the Bulls during the second repeat as well. Number 9, Bill Cartwright. Most of Bill Cartwright's best years as an individual came from his Knicks days, where he averaged 17 and 8. But when he joined the Bulls, he changed his playstyle to go from being a primary scorer to being a solid all-around big man that fit into the triangle offense super well. He started all games during the first repeat, and while his numbers did drop off a lot, this did have to do with his aging, he was still a very strong presence in the locker room that was really integral for the Bulls' success. Number 8, John Paxson. Even though Paxson's leadership in the Chicago front office has been mediocre to say the least, he was still a key player with the Bulls during their first three-peat. He was super clutch and of course is known for hitting the game and championship winner in Game 6 of the 1993 finals against the Phoenix Suns. Aside from that one though, he's hit many other clutch shots during his time as a Bull, such as scoring 10 points in the final minutes of Game 5 in the 1991 finals against the Lakers to get the Bulls their first championship. Number 7, Steve Kerr. Kerr has had quite the interesting career. He still holds the record for the highest three-point percentage in NBA history, having shot 45% from three for his career, which included 48% during his time with Chicago. He is of course remembered for hitting the series winner in Game 6 of the 1997 finals against the Utah Jazz. As a fun fact, that season he also won the three-point contest in the All-Star game. That being said, it's really hard to say how good he really was when he was basically just a shooter, so I definitely had difficulty evaluating him. But I think that given his contributions, that this is a fair spot to put him for sure. Number 6, Charles Oakley. Oakley didn't play that much with Jordan, having only spent his first 3 seasons with the Bulls before getting traded for Bill Cartwright to the Knicks. He was an incredible rebounder and defender, and basically served as Jordan's cop, as anybody that fouled the young MJ would be expected to get disciplined by Oakley. So it wasn't really a coincidence when the Bad Boys Pistons gave Jordan a rough time in the 1989 and 90 playoffs after Oakley left. Needless to say, Oakley being Jordan's enforcer was certainly important, and to this day, they're actually still pretty good friends. Number 5, Ron Harper. Ron Harper is honestly one of the most, if not the most underrated player on this list. He's pretty much the definition of somebody who sacrificed a lot to play with a superstar. Prior to joining the Bulls, he was a great all-around player who averaged 19, 5, and 5 with the Cavs and the Clippers, but with the Bulls, he dropped to only 8, 3, and 3. He might not have been as much of a scorer anymore, but he made up for it by being an incredible defender who was capable of defending the perimeter super well. He showed what it was like to play as an off-ball point guard in the triangle offense, and adapted his playstyle super well. Jordan has even acknowledged his sacrifice and importance to the second repeat. Number 4, Horace Grant. Grant was essentially the ideal power forward during this era. He was good at rebounding, defending, and shooting the mid-range. Not to mention, he was super physical too. This was an important attribute for beating other tough Eastern Conference teams, like the Pistons who come to mind. This jack-of-all-trades big man was the third main scorer for Chicago after MJ and Scottie, and as mentioned before, a great defender, having been an All-NBA defensive team selection 4 times. He even made a clutch block on Kevin Johnson in the 1993 NBA Finals in Game 6, which secured their third title in a row. All of this considered, Horace Grant definitely made up the third part of a Bulls' Big Three with Jordan and Pippen, and is remembered for being great all around. Number 3. Toni Kukoc. Toni Kukoc was a pretty unique player. He's a great example of a point forward, even if that was Scottie Pippen for the Bulls. Kukoc fit super well into the triangle offense, as a combo forward who could shoot, pass, and cut at an elite level. He mostly came off the bench when he played with Jordan, winning Sixth Man of the Year in 1996. Kukoc was a truly hellish matchup for defenders due to his unique and diverse skill set. But for whatever reason, a lot of people don't talk about him that much. But despite that, he was still a really important piece for the second three-peat run, and certainly an underrated and underappreciated player for the Bulls too. Number 2. Dennis Rodman. While Dennis Rodman was past his prime by the time he made it to Chicago, he was still a really good player, making the All-NBA Defensive First Team in 1996, as well as leading the league in rebounding during the three-peat years when he came. And this was an important thing that the Bulls were lacking during their first three-peat run. Rodman is one of the 2 Hall of Famers on this list, and his contributions to that second title run are worthy of him getting second on this list. And number 1, Scottie Pippen. This was a no-brainer, as Pippen was the other Hall of Famer here and the clear-cut second best player on those Bulls teams behind Jordan himself. He is the only player on this list to be a part of both three-peats, and his resume during his time as a Bull is the most stacked by far. Aside from the 6 rings, Scottie was a 7-time All-Star, 7-time All-NBA selection, and 8-time All-NBA defensive selection during his time with Chicago. Pippen is arguably the greatest perimeter defender ever, and he even led the Bulls in all 5 major statistical categories in the 1994-95 season, when he averaged 21 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, and 1 block. Even though he was ranked 21 on the recent ESPN rankings list, I'd argue that Scottie was a top 20 player in history who was simply overshadowed by Mike. As much of a legend MJ was, Scottie Pippen was super important for getting those 6 chips, and it goes without saying Jordan doesn't get those without him. But anyway, that does it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and turn on notifications. Do you agree or disagree with the ordering? Or is there somebody that you think should not be on this list? Or somebody that you think should be on this list? Let me know in the comments below. And with that, I'm out. See you guys next time.